Hi, I'm Sam, and this is Sam Says. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Massive Darkness. Massive Darkness is a new game from CMON. It is for 1 to 6 players, and it's designed by the same guys that designed Zombicide, which are namely Raphael Guiton, Jean-Baptiste Lulien, and Nicolas Raoult. I believe they're from Brazil. I think they're from Brazil. But anyway, they did Zombicide, and so they came out with a dungeon crawl that is Massive Darkness, like I said, for 1 to 6 players. Some people were lucky enough to pick this up at Gen Con 2017, and also the Kickstarter people, which is myself. I kickstarted this game, and so the edition that you see in front of me is the Kickstarter edition. Some of these monsters you will not be able to get if you buy retail. But I believe this game releases either late September or early October of 2017. So let's talk a little bit about it. There are 2 different modes that you can play this game in. You can play this game in campaign mode, where you are progressing over a series of quests and upgrading your characters slowly, or you can play it just in a straight up 1 quest at a time. You play it with 1 hero, and the next quest, if you choose to play again, you play with a different hero. And it's a much more rapid advancement of your character. So I want to talk about just going and doing 1 quest at a time first. That's what I feel this game was really designed for. I feel like in the Kickstarter it was sold as, hey, you can play this campaign-driven, but definitely one-off as a possibility. The one-off is what this game was designed for. I mean, straight out. That's what the scenarios were designed for, and it works really well. If you like dungeon crawl games, if you like going out and chucking dice and killing monsters and getting awesome items and upgrading your characters, this is the way to do it. I will say this upgrade system, as far as they actually have skill trees for each hero, is incredible. For a game that you sit down and you play for an hour or 2, the character progression that you get within that game session is really amazing. I love how they did that. You can kind of make your decisions on what area of your skill tree you really want your character to focus on, but that doesn't mean later in the scenario that you can't develop other areas within that skill tree. You are just basically choosing at the beginning, which of my skills do I really want to have at the beefiest best at the very end of the game. And depending on some of the scenarios, you may, it's pretty rare, but you can fill up your skill tree. Learn every single skill that you have. It's fun. And it's a blast. The minis in this game are incredible. Obviously, it's from CMON, and they always make great minis, but these minis blew me away. They take Zombicide Black Plague minis, which were really good, and just bring it to a whole new level. They are incredible. I mean, looking at this, the Spear Maiden Cyclops, I mean, you can't see huge detail on it, but man, not only is this mini massive, you can see it. This is one of the heroes right here. It's huge. And the detail is pretty stunning. The minis, even if this game were total crap, I hated it. Let's just say that were the case, I wouldn't sell it. Because the minis, I don't even know what I would do with the minis. I really don't. I want to start getting in, I want to start to learn how to paint, but I don't paint yet. But even without painting, I wouldn't sell this game because the minis are so cool. No idea what I would do with them. But the gameplay itself is very engaging. So when I play solo, I don't play with just 1 character. I'll play with 2 or 4. I found that some of the scenarios, like this one that's set up in front of me, this is quest number 9 in the base rulebook. If you play this with 2 characters, you lose. Hands down. You will lose. Just the way this scenario is set up. Most of them have gone through with 2 characters and been just fine. But yeah, this one in particular, I feel like they should add in the rulebook, because I did the whole setup and I got my 2-player game and I started and like 2 or 3 turns in, I was like, this is impossible with 2. I mean, you could get some really good characters and maybe have a go at it, but just the way this scenario is set up, it's not like that. So I wish they'd have put that in the rulebook, saying, hey, this is recommended for 4+. I know in the Zombicide rulebook, they did a lot of that. They'll say, hey, with this many characters, it is this difficulty level, essentially. But other than that, it scales really well, depending on the number of players. I wouldn't probably want to play with just one hero. I think that'd be difficult. But playing with 2 or more, I think would be just fun. I have not tried a game with 6. 5 or 6, that would be interesting. I'm sure it would scale just fine. You have a ton of actions to kill stuff, but your character's upgrading more slowly because there is no mechanism in the game to give you more treasure based on more players. You do get more enemies by having more players, but your treasure does not, so your characters are going to advance more slowly, but you get a ton more actions to be able to defeat with. So even though you may not be as powerful, you still can defeat a ton of enemies just because of all the extra actions. In this game, one of the cool things that leveling up, besides the skill tree, is on every tile, or almost every tile, you're going to have one of these tokens put on it, and it'll have a number 1 through 5. And that is going to determine the level of the game, which is the guard deck. So you have 7 decks of enemies. You have guards, which are the standard enemies, and they're levels 1 through 5. And then you have the roaming monsters, which are these badasses over here. And they come in lesser and greater, depending on what level you're on. But as you advance through the game gets harder because your level is increasing. So the monsters are going to spawn at a higher level, but also the treasure that you find is going to be better treasure. So when you get onto level 2, all the stuff that you find on that level 2 map tile is from the level 2 deck. Level 3, you get the level 3 deck. So it brings in some cool stuff. And every monster that comes out, some of the guard cards, they'll be mobs. Their leader of the mob will get a treasure card. The roaming monsters will all get treasure cards. There are agents, which are kind of special people that can spawn more people in. They will also come with treasure cards. And when you kill that monster, you get the card, which is awesome. I love going after, I'll see like, oh, that guy right there has the sword that I want. I'm going to go after him. And so it kind of makes you pick, it's almost like trophy hunting. You know, you're going after, but the trophy is an actual item that you get to take on your hero. And there is a whole strategy of you can trade in 3 lower level items for 1 item of the next level of the lowest card that you trade in, and it's called Transmutate. That adds in a whole new bunch of strategy, because if you have a card that you've received for some reason, or you want to level up your cards right before you fight a monster, you would normally have to spend an action to reorganize. But with Transmutate, you can trade 3 in and pick a new one up, and it gives you a free action to be able to put new stuff on. So you could find that big awesome sword or the cool bow or the awesome staff that you want to be able to fight that new monster with. So I like that aspect as well, is that the old cards that you picked up that are kind of obsolete midway through the game, you can trade them up. And even if it's not a great card, it's still just more food for your engine of trading up to better items. So, I mean, overall, the base mode of this, it's super fun. It doesn't replace Zombicide for me. A lot of people I played with have told me that it gives a Zombicide feel. I don't necessarily feel that way. The board layout is set up similarly. Oh, I will say one thing in this game that they did different than Zombicide is when they set up the maps. This is a pretty standard, like you could see in a Zombicide map, but there are some of them where they'll shift. So this one will only be on 1/3 of this tile and 2/3 of that one. And they have these little mini tiles that are like stairways or corners that can actually change the map layout and make it look different, which is cool. It's not just one big block. You don't have just a square board. It kind of gives you a really cool, really makes it a modular board rather than just, hey, put these squares in different arrangements that make more squares. This makes it look cooler. So that's kind of the one-off mode. Now let me talk about campaign mode. That I was not pleased with. I think they were lazy. This game just did not do well in a campaign. I was playing out of the base rulebook, so I was playing out of the base rulebook for a campaign, and basically how they do it is instead of gaining 1 XP every time you kill a minion, or you can gain more XP for killing different monsters, but you get micro XP, and 5 micro XP equals 1 major XP. And so just by doing that, it slows down your progression because you're not getting those skills as fast, you're not progressing as fast. That worked for the first 4 or 5 quests. But by quest 6, I just kind of felt like I was going through the motions. There was a little bit of a challenge, you know, if it was the monster got the absolute best roll and I got my absolute worst roll, they could kill me. But it had to be that situation. And kind of pressed on and played 7 and 8 with the campaign, and those were literally just going through the motions. Like, oh, a giant roaming monster spawned out and he's rolling all 6 dice. Oh well, okay, I'll kill him. And I'd have a guy that he would come out and deal 15 damage. Like damage after the defense roll. 15. Every time. And so I'd get a giant roaming monster out with 32 health, and it would just be like, oh, okay, well, let me take my turn, he'll be dead. And the game's not designed to work like that. These roaming monsters come out with a ton of health, and they are mean, nasty things. And they should terrify you. And once you get far enough into campaign mode, they just don't. They're not scary. So my friend that I was playing with, who we do all of our dungeon crawl campaign style games together, as we were going through, we finished the 8th quest and we'd been playing all day and we've been having a blast. And it just kind of dropped a little bit in intensity the last couple quests. I looked at him and I just said, I don't really feel like playing the last 2. Or at least not with these heroes, not continuing on in a campaign style. And him and I, we love campaigns. I love going through and doing campaigns. And this just fell flat. It was fun and it was challenging. I will say it's not a super challenging game as far as a campaign, even in the first few. But it was fun until about midway through, and then it was just bad. I do know that they have a quest for Crystal and Lava where they replace the actual map tiles, and it's only a 6 quest long campaign. And maybe they fix that. I don't know if they designed the scenario specifically for a campaign to maybe limit your growth early on. Because I have another campaign that I started with a different friend, and by the end of the first scenario that we played, all 4 of our characters were level 2. Which means we were starting off only the 2nd quest ever with everybody at level 2, which means we will no longer see any more level 1 guards. They're just gone. So I felt like we advanced way too quickly in that, and so I think that campaign would even be worse than the one I was playing previously. So I won't even continue on with that. I think I'll try the Crystal and Lava and see if that fixed any of the problems. So overall, Massive Darkness. The box is huge. The gameplay is huge. It's fun if you're playing in the 1 quest at a time with a different hero every time and not in campaign mode. If you're looking for a campaign style game, look somewhere else. This just doesn't have it. But if you're looking for a great one-off, gives you some kind of, I would say, light to medium strategy, but some super fun custom dice with awesome minis, and really just engaging gameplay that people can have fun with, and you can get a group around that's not too complex, and gives you a really, really cool upgrade system that you can advance your character throughout the game in a really unique way that I like that they did, then this is the game for you. This is really, really good. So, down to it. What worked? What worked, I would say, is the advancement system. That is my favorite part by far, is going through, and as you advance further into the map tile, just by going onto the tile itself, that all of a sudden pumps you into the next level, which gives you harder enemies, but better items. And how the enemies spawn with items that you can then claim Super awesome. I love that. It gives a really exciting feel. And what didn't work? The highlight of the review, what did not work, campaign mode. It was bad. I feel like they got lazy and they didn't play test it, and I'm very disappointed in that, because I love campaign games and I'm not generally disappointed by a CMON game. I mean, they're not always the games for me, but at least they're thought out. And I felt like the campaign mode was just pasted on, like, hey, we've got this game, how could we make it into a campaign and sell it to people as a campaign? And that's what it felt like. But the game itself, for what it was designed for, is great. But anyway, that's Massive Darkness. I'm Sam. This was Sam Says. If you have any requests of games you'd like me to review, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and check out my videos on YouTube. That's it. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.